going on, everybody? Welcome to the first Hot Read Mock Draft Happy Hour. Easton already kind of ruining my vibe here that I'm kind of going for with the live stream, saying hope this is better than the movie. Would be hard to be worse. I don't know why you would hate on my backdrop, but glad to see so many of you already in here watching over on 440 Sports for the Hot Read Twitter page. Paul saying already hot and heavy, saying Travis Hunter no matter what here. Eddie saying what's up, boys. Curtis saying that's what he does. That's a shot at Easton. Wow. All right. We've been live for 40 seconds and Easton has already been shots fired at Easton. Love to see it. Ben Deming saying chill, relaxing vibes. You can mock draft and fill out your bracket too. Kenneth saying who's eating pancakes in this scenario. Love to see all of you guys here on a Sunday night where we're just going to basically hang out, do some mock drafts, talk Titans, and have a few brewskis, which, had to get the ML Rose branding in there somewhere with the cup and the hat. But good to see all of you in here first. I want to talk about something first. I'm going to, we can get music on in the background too. But I do want to talk about a certain thing that happened today, which honored to be a part of it, but with March Madness and all, D Good saying I celebrate injuries. Okay. And, I didn't celebrate the injury. I was just asking about how Garrett Cole is. That's all I'm asking. But we can get in here and talk about something I wanted to share with y'all and look at some results here, and we can start over here. The Jacob says, I'm on X. Can you hear me? Yes, I can, Jacob. Good to see you, buddy. How are you doing tonight? The second annual Titans Media Member Madness, which I am happy to be a part of, but unfortunately, in this scenario, I am getting railroaded by John Glennon, which, of course, I'm going to vote for myself, but tough scene here. With some of this, but appreciate being a part of this. We got to go down to one where I think one of the most interesting ones. Oh, we also have to give a shout out here. Where is he? I just saw him. Did I miss him? Oh, Stoney. We'll get Stoney a vote there. Chat, who are we voting for? We voting for Zach or we voting for Easton? Maybe whoever responds in the chat here first, we'll vote for. True asking, how we doing, JT? Good, my man. How are you? Good to see you in here. Gonna get to some of the draft here in a second. Eddie says Easton. Should give a vote to Easton. I don't know if the chat has any interest or one way or another. Kenneth says it looks like the New York media is finally waving the white flag on a possible trade. I would agree. It's been a little bit since the combine where that was red hot, and that is no longer the case. Coach says Zach comes through at the end. He says by far the toughest pick. Ben says Zach on a buzzer beater. Curtis saying Zach is cool. That's a hard one. Zach comes through at the end. Can't let the man who called Barton Gibbons get away with it. It's a good one. I'm going to give it to Zach just because I can. Anyways. Good to see so many of you in here. Go vote for Will Bowling. Aren't you, Jake, aren't you up against Will? I just want to vote against Will B if possible. Easton says, would you like to outline all 8 and 9 seeds to emphasize the tragedy that was can't believe Jake is saying go that quickly. That's really funny. All right, let's get on to what we were going to do with this show. Appreciate all of you being here. If you want to join the conversation, I guess I can see you guys on Twitter. It just kind of shows up a little bit differently, I guess, on mine. So apologies. But Jacob says Stoney sounds happier on Hot Read Podcast with JT compared to Zach. Well, that's because we like talking about day 3 tackles more than football and other efforts, I guess. Drew saying Easton's a first round exit going out sad. I would compare the Easton Free Zach Lyons 8-9 seed to like Creighton and Louisville this upcoming March Madness. Like 2 teams that you really, really want to see go far, and you just can't because they're going up against each other. Curtis says voting for Jake twice. Thanks for motivation. But good to see all of you here. Let's get into who is the UNC of this bracket. Ooh, that's a good question. Maybe like Rob Greenlaw, maybe with by the way, the upset of the century. Grassroots movement beating Tic Tac Titans out right now, which I find very interesting. I also want to pull up basically Chase McCabe. Chase McCabe is the UNC of the Titans media madness. I'm gonna put something on the screen here though, which is this. We have to get out of it. I liked what Jetpack Galileo had to say. We gotta get out of this draft class. Everyone is mid. Nick Suss getting absolutely snubbed today is a travesty. Just gonna go out and say it. That is a travesty. Like, brother is the beat writer for like all of the Tennessean guys. I didn't even see Gentry on there either. But not like I would probably be in the same. Nick Suss is a WVU. I would be if I was up against Nick Suss, I would be taking the same vote as Jake. I'd be giving Nick my vote because I think he deserves it. All right, let's get into here. Oh my goodness! Wow, look at that. The hold on, before we get started here, I do want to we do have some surprise guests coming aboard here, which I do very much appreciate. However, I do want to I got to remember what seed he is in the tournament here before we put him on. Coming to the stage, the 11th seed in the Titans Media Madness. It's Stoney. What's up, Stoney?
Hello.
How are you?
Sorry I'm late, JT.
No, you're fine. You're in the cave of darkness. Are you with Aaron Rodgers right now? Can you tell us where he's going? You're on a little bit of a darkness retreat right now.
Well, I thought we were just having fun here tonight. I didn't want to set up all my lighting rigs and all. Like I just grabbed my microphone and plugged it in. I was over here editing a Yankee Candle review for Tuesday, watching the Royal Tenenbaums on Amazon Prime. And then I was like, oh shit, we're supposed to be going live, so I need to just hop on.
Well, glad to have you here. Coach with Stoney with an upset in maybe the show and also, I guess, on the bracket. Like I said earlier, I'm getting railroaded by John Glennon, so someone from the Hot Read Podcast has to carry the torch. I think you're the Cinderella story. You're the Cinderella story that can get the grassroots movement. So we look at the bracket here real quick. Let's see. Who are you up against next? Like, you'll be up against Glennon next.
I don't know.
I think you can beat Glennon.
I don't know. Glennon's got some reach, you know. He's an institution in this market. He's been at it for a while.
He is. So has a team like Purdue, and I think they're going to get upset. So, like, you never say never.
Very well.
Who upsets
Very well.
Herndon? That is a good question. We'll have to see. Eddie Singh activating all of my burners to push Stoney through.
What have I
Stoney, you're
missed so
giving off
far tonight?
nothing really. We've been talking about who is the UNC of the Titans Media Madness bracket.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
The chat decided who to vote for between Zach and Easton. We ended up voting for Zach, who has run away with it a little bit.
I thought Zach wanted us to vote for Easton, though.
I think he did, and then it's kind of like inevitable, you know. I voted for Zach live on here because Easton was in the chat, and I thought it would be funny.
Oh, okay, gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah. Either way, we can get into what we actually are supposed to be doing here, which is mock drafts.
I like the tunes, by the way.
Thank you.
Feels nice.
I tried to get like a 45-minute playlist and like have it in my OBS, and then that just didn't work. So I had to look at what StreamYard had, and it looks like StreamYard's got some pretty nice things. Ambiance is a 10, as Paul says.
About that. So, thank you, Paul.
All right, let's get into it, shall we? And I think we should start it off tonight with a drink in hand. Sonny, what are you drinking, first of all?
Well, tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day. I know no free advertising and whatnot, but I've got a Mill Creek Irish Stout.
Wow.
I've got some Guinness in the fridge, but I got to save it for a recipe tomorrow. But I like the Mill Creek Irish Stout. I don't deviate from Guinness too much when it comes to stouts, but Mill Creek does a good one, and they're local, so I like to support.
Hell yeah. I'm drinking a Miller High Life.
All right, the champagne of beers.
It's the champagne of beers, so love to see
it.
All right. Yeah. Let's kick this off. I want to do let's start with the Titans 7 round. How about that? We good with that? And then we can go into more
I love that.
Like actual draft things where we do like maybe a full first round. And then maybe we'll pull up to end the night like a Pro Football Network.
I love it.
See how messed up we can make it. And then, of course, if you guys want to like ask us questions or just not even about the draft or anything, we're just here to chill tonight. So please do so in the comment section. And so now, Stoney, I don't know how many drafts you do like normally. Maybe not many. I know you like to have fun with it, but like if we're looking,
I usually do one.
If we're doing like settings, should we just stay with the public board?
What are our options?
We can like put it between the public and the PFF board, which I think is I don't know. Like I think
I'm just gonna follow your lead, JT, because this is not my world. I know I do.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do a little bit more care for positional value, and then we're gonna have draft for needs still like pretty high, and the randomness is good, and then we'll do it pretty slow as well. So that we can talk and like, hang out. All right. Kenneth does ask, are we doing trades? Paul also asking, good to see you, Paul. Are you doing trades? Yeah, we will be doing trades for the Titans here, at least in the 7 round, because I think it's very pivotal and important because I think it's worth talking about here. However, I will say we can allow trades. I think it's worth the discussion. Drew saying PFF board having Logan Brown and Holland Pierce in the 200s is blasphemy. Okay, we'll keep it public then. We'll keep it to the public board because we don't need this PFF propaganda.
That is pretty crazy, though.
That is crazy.
The 200s?
Yeah. All right. Well, we can get into it, I guess, here.
Let's do it.
Which leaves us at 1. And of course, we're taking Abdul Carter, right?
Ooh, buddy, how do we want to? We just want to like throw a grenade into the chat right off the bat today.
Eddie said taking Ward or trading out and starting the chaos early. I hope that was good enough for you. Curtis with the one word, sir.
Let's you know what? Let's everybody. I don't know about you, JT, but the the buzz on Twitter, it just feels
And
like
it's saying, "How dare you?"
like at this point, everybody has just accepted. Like people are starting to buy their Cam Ward jerseys.
Yeah,
I don't think
I've seen so many of the like stinky, like whatever that celebration is, like the emoji combinations on Twitter. That like, yeah, I think it's inevitable at this point, right? Like,
so I mean, listen, we're having some drinks tonight. We're listening to some nice smooth music. We're vibing. We're having a good time. Tonight is not the night to disrupt everybody's
to incite riots. I agree.
party. Yeah, let's just stick with Cam Ward. Let's go with it.
We can do with that. And so PFF is going. We're gonna draft Cam Ward here. And listen, I think it's fair. I think it's where we're headed. I've come to peace with it. I've come to terms with it. I've come to terms with it a long time ago. And like once again, like the the PFF simulator having the Jaguars take Ashton Genty is kind of
awesome.
Insane. It's kind of insane. I'm not gonna lie. PFF also having Armand Membu off the board before Will Campbell based.
That is yeah. I'm with that, man. I'm with that big time.
See here, we're gonna get so many of these next year. The emoji combinations are gonna be crazy. Have you ever seen I Think You Should Leave, the Tim Robinson sketch?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I've seen the show. Yeah.
Or yeah, the sketch comedy show. You know the one where they're like talking about the car things, and then they have like the old guy. I've been sending this GIF. It's like he goes like this, and he goes stinky. That's when I'm gonna go against the grain here, and I'm gonna start electing to use that instead of Cam Ward's emojis. I'm just gonna every time Cam Ward does something, I'm gonna go stinky.
I like that. I like that. That's a good one. I can't even read.
Oh, I can make it bigger for you. Sorry.
I feel like this is a me problem. Me being an old man, I can make the screen full, but then I lose the chat.
That's fair.
My boomer ass.
I made it a little bigger for you there.
Thank you.
Drew's saying Will Campbell is a second round guard. We need to be honest with ourselves. I think that's a.
I think he's a. I think he's a guard.
He says, "Get your cheaters out."
Oh man.
Jake saying he's just Peter Skoronsky derogatorily.
Yeah.
Interesting. But this is where we get to where the trades are important, right?
Oh, we're on the clock again.
We are on the clock again. So Shadur Sanders in this goes 33rd overall to the Cleveland Browns.
That's wild. And you're doing cartwheels if you're Cleveland getting Shadur at
as
33.
Kenneth said, falling to 33 is wild. Eddie says it's time for Besh at 35. Listen, so here's the situation at hand, right? It's like you now have, I feel like, with the Kenneth Murray trade, you can get away with not having a third with where their picks are. With having the first pick in the fourth, having 2 4ths, 2 5ths, and 2 6ths. Mm-hmm. It's not the end of the world if you don't have a top 100 pick, right?
Okay.
And so if you're looking, another one, I should say. And so if you're looking at the board here, like Gray Zabel, Demetrius Knight, Jack Besh, Xavier Watts, Princely, Swinson.
Boy.
Like, is there someone here on the board as we're looking, especially at the edge position? So, like, if we look at the edges available, Landon Jackson, Uman Mielen, Swinson, the 2 Ohio State guys, and Jared Ivey. Is there one there that is worthy of taking at 35? Right?
That's kind of gross. Man, I don't know. I'm not the I don't know about. I'm not the biggest fan of.
I'll bring it back up for you, Kenneth. We can look at the edge group again.
I'm not the biggest fan of either of the Ole Miss guys. I tend to like Landon Jackson, but I just don't know. I don't know how much
The
that
aura,
really.
the aura for me, just I can't have him looking like that.
Well, he's not very. I don't know. I still just think like 4-3 defensive
He
end
looks a
with
lot more
Landon
physical
Jackson.
than he is when he plays. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair.
Like when you look at him, I'm like, this dude is gonna wreck, and then he struggles in the Senior Bowl against some weaker competition. And I'm like, I see what I saw on tape, but like you're going up against guys who play D2 ball now, and you're barely like in the drill where the edge is supposed to win on the one-on-ones. You're failing.
Yeah,
I don't know. You're saying Landon Jackson is stiff as a board with no power. I can't get with it. Coach saying I like Jackson, but he's only a luxury pick. Kenneth wants to look at the wide receivers. Kyle Kennard's also there. Josiah Stewart, depends what you think of. I think there's some teams who like guys like Kennard and Stewart a lot more than like draft people do.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think in theory, yes, they should go edge early, but I mean, I don't think there's the guy that I would rather have over Jack Besh or Jaden Higgins for that matter.
Yeah, so the top wide receivers on the board here, Alec Ayumanor, Jack Besh, Jaden Higgins, Xavier Restrepo, Jalen Knoll, Jalen Royals, Savion Williams, Tez Johnson, Trey Harris. A lot of guys that I feel like 35 is too rich for. I know that Besh is a good player. Like, I like a guy like Besh. However, at 35, like, there's only a few wide receivers I feel like that is worth taking at 35 versus trading back and getting a guy. Jack Campbell, Easton, what are you talking about? Jack Campbell plays for the Detroit Lions and is my one true love. Where are we getting Jack Campbell with this? I don't know where that's coming from. So like that's when we can get into the trades here. And we'll look at who's available with trade. I'm just going through a lot of people's interests here. Do you take a possession receiver there? I think you can take a possession receiver late in the fourth. Like, I think that's where you can find your possession receiver.
Yeah.
But then we can realistically look at some trades here. So the New Orleans Saints, and I think it's important to seek, look at context with some of these. He meant Sawyer. Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, Jack Campbell is gone, brother. I think Jack Besh, I think they could like a guy like Jack Besh. A bad player. Oh, brother. I wish I had...
Brother.
I wish I had the SpongeBob soundbite. Like, saying Jack Campbell is a bad player, but Jack Sawyer at 35 is the way to go. Can't wait to read that in your... Jack Sawyer's the bad player. I see. Okay, fair enough. So, in this mock, the Saints have Jahad Campbell going 9, which means defensive line, wide receiver, like another playmaker for the Saints is probably what they're targeting. So I think I think it's fair to say that the Saints could be in play there. The Dolphins took Will Johnson with Gray Zabel on the board. They need a guard. I think that's in play. I think that could be very much in play. I think Dallas, if Gentry's off the board and they go with a different player, you're looking at both of the Ohio State products. You're looking at Caleb Johnson in the third there at 35. Could they come up and grab one of those guys like I had in my mock draft 1.0? I think that's feasible.
Which running backs are available? Because we got a couple of teams we've discussed that might see a guy worth coming up for.
Scatabo, Judkins, Henderson, Johnson, Sampson, like some guys I think that
I don't know that anybody's trading up for those guys, but
Easton with a question real quick as we look at the board here. Take best player available out or take needs out. The best player available on the board is who?
I can only see 3 names on the board.
Well, Zabel, Knight, Manor, Sanders, Williams, Besh, Watts, Amos, Jackson, Hairston, Revel.
Ooh, Siobhan Ravel right there is awfully
Siobhan Ravel, I was looking at him. Azaria Thomas being there, like it's one of the corners to me. It's either Thomas, it's Ravel.
Thomas. I like Thomas a lot too.
Or it's Xavier Watts, I think, for me. As the
See, I thought
on the board.
I thought we would get flamed if we suggested Xavier Watts at this spot, but I like him quite a bit, and I do think there's a need. Is there a more immediate need at cornerback? You get
it's a good question. It's a good question. Obviously, with the Titans trading away Cheeto, it's Brownlee season. Drew's saying Azaria for me. I think this is where the consensus boards are way off. One of Ravel, Azaria Thomas, Hairston finds their way into the first round.
Yeah,
easy, no question. I think it would have to be one of those. Tyler Booker is on the board.
No thanks. Listen, no, I like Tyler Booker's tape. Yeah. I like it a lot, but he's a little sluggish. He's a little slow, and I don't know. I'm kind of leery of his athletic profile because it does kind of translate to the tape. So he's a guy I love watching his tape. I think he's a pretty steady guy. I don't know. I want to draft athletes this cycle.
That's fair. So when you look at, is there a world where you think the Titans could take Siobhan Ravel?
No.
That's fair. I think so. I think that's fair.
I mean, I like him, and I think he has the chops to play some press man at the next level. Really long arms, but I think I don't know, man. They seem to be signing durable guys in free agency, guys that have played 1,000 snaps. Kind of feels like that's going to be a priority for them. Him coming off of the big injury, I think, is going to be a huge question mark. So I don't know. I think they could go corner and surprise some people, but I don't think it's going to be Siobhan Ravel.
That's fair. And so, yes, okay, we'll get to it. So basically, our options here are, I think people are looking at Jack Besh, Alec Manor, or trade back. Is what it looks like. As Kenneth says, nothing about Restrepo, but there's been a lot of talk. But Restrepo, I think, is also a reach at 35. Can be immediate impact player. Let's look at this. Let's look at the Saints, right? There is a team who could use another wide receiver, get their guy, Kellen Moore, some more options here on the team. So kind of similar to what a trade with the Cowboys is that I kind of put out. If the Titans were to look for a trade, I think it would be 40 and 71 for 35 and 167, 178 probably.
Okay.
Now, do you think that would be fair? Because I feel like at the same time, because it's only 5 spots, is that worthy of a third? I don't know if they would do that. And so Johnny brings up Seattle with 50 and 82. They also have 50 and 82. They have 50 and 52 thanks to the trade. So if we looked at the Seahawks, who in this mock took they have a first round? They should, right? Trying to find them.
There they are.
Did I miss them again?
Yep.
Oh, Josh Simmons. They take a tackle. So with Cooper Kupp and Jackson Smith and Jigba, and of course Jake Bobo. We can't forget about Jake Bobo. They probably need another wide receiver, right? They have some pretty slow to develop wide receivers, so they could use an X guy like Johnny says here. So let's look at that. Pick 50, pick 82 for 35 and 167. Gets you done. I think that's fair, right? I think that's worth it considering what they have on the board right now. You
I'm
trade
cool with
down.
that.
I'm pretty cool with that as well. But like, I think that's fair considering who was on the board there. Like, if your best option is an AU Manor, is a Besh, is a Zabel, or one of the corners, or Xavier Watts, guys who don't really impact the team right now, are good, like, developmental guys. Like, you put Gray Zabel behind Kevin Zeitler for a year, and you have probably an all-pro guard for, like, 10 years. Like,
yeah, and he's got the
probably.
versatility, too. I don't think he's going to play tackle in the NFL. He's played it in college, but he might kick over to center. Got some reps at center at the Senior Bowl. Could be an option there as well.
Yeah, so I like the trade. I think it's worth going. So the Seahawks trade up and trade 50 and 82. They still have their 52nd overall, and the Titans get 82. Send a 5th round pick, the one they got for DeAndre Hopkins. And
Good
so
eye, Johnny.
Seattle to trade up, and they, of course, the simulator has them taking Tyler Booker as well, but that's not the point, you know. Joe saying Zabel can play center for sure. Paul was saying Beck if no trade. Kenneth said good with that. Joe says, I have a feeling we might trade back from 1. Brinker is the only Levis sexual in the front office. That's certainly a comment. I don't know about that exactly, but Coach Wilson, who can use a QB with a big arm? We have a guy who's hungry on the roster. Brandon saying Besh or trade back. Drew saying I prefer trade back, but if you stick, it has to be Ayer Manor in his opinion there. Trey Phillips said trade. Timothy said trade back and get a 3rd. And so that leaves us at 50 here with some interesting guys on the board. So,
oh boy,
still looking at in the second round here, probably at a edge rusher or a wide receiver.
Yeah,
you look at the edge talent available. Princely goes 1 pick before
that
the Titans.
Sucks.
That would suck. On Friday, I would probably fall to my knees at wherever we're going live from because that is tough. So you're left with guys like Swinson, the 2 Ohio State guys. Jared Ivey, Kyle Kennard, Josiah Seward. Drew says Swinson at 50 is sweet. I love his game. Such a deep arsenal of pass rushing moves. He wins with everything. I agree. I think he's a guy who is underrated in this, how deep this class is. He doesn't get talked about a lot. However, like, I think he would be worthy of the pick here. So
I'm going to trust you and Drew.
Good to see you, Joe.
I'm going to trust you and Drew because I haven't gotten around to the Swinson tape yet.
I like him, man. The one thing about him, like he says, versatility in his pass rush move set, I think is something that we really like. Or at least I really like, and it sounds like he does too. Easton saying, bet his life that AZ Thomas is gone. I agree with him there. Just going through a couple of these other comments here. Good to see all of you here. Give us a like. If you're not subscribed to the 440 YouTube channel, might as well. I think we'll be doing these. I'm going to try to do one of these once a week leading up to the draft from here on out because I think they're fun and it's a good way to kick back, chill out, and talk to you guys about draft things at maybe a slower pace. And of course, have a brew or two and get after it. Johnny's saying Demetrius Knight is an underrated need. I think so too, but Besh is the talent he'd want the most there. I think that's still not out of the question that a linebacker at 35 would make people go crazy.
It would, but I don't know, man. I mean, I do think it's a sneaky need.
Eddie said, dear football gods, if they take Sawyer in the second, he's rioting.
I think I'm going to be right there with him.
Kenneth says, before choosing edge, who is left at receiver, which is a good, we're not locked into it here, I think, but edge or wide receiver is still, I think, the most important position on the board for the Titans to address. And so you have Restrepo pairing him there with Cam. You have Jalen Knoll, Royal, Savion Williams. I love Jalen Knoll. Listen, I think the Titans, I get having the connection with a guy like Cam I think Jalen Knoll does what Xavier Restrepo does, but better.
Yeah, I'm with that. I would agree with that.
And so I think the point becomes, do you think Knoll would be there? Because it certainly seemed like there was a little bit of a run on wide receivers there. You also have guys like Trey Harris and Isaiah Bond and Torrey Horton later down the line. But I think when you look at the edge prospects that you have versus the wide receivers available right there, I think you have to go get your guy. I think you have to go get a guy to help with Cam in year one. I don't think, like, I really don't think a Calvin Ridley and then 2 fourths. Like, if you have the option to take one in the late second round, I think this is great value for where you're getting them.
Man, I like Jalen Knoll. I like Jalen Royals. I like Savion Williams too. See, I'm conflicted just because I have
so
to
like
watch
here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, right?
All right.
I think the pick comes down to Swinson at that pick, I think. Or I don't know, is the chat Knoll or Restrepo? Johnny going Knoll over Restrepo. Coach Wills.
I'm Knoll over Restrepo too.
Brandon Connor said Knoll is good too, but he'd go Restrepo. Coach saying Knoll is the pick. Send in the card. Brandon Connor also saying get a wide receiver here. Joe saying Jihad Campbell at 35, only acceptable linebacker there. I would agree, but I don't think there's a chance in hell that he is there. So to me personally, I don't think there's any way that he'd be there. If he was, that's the one guy I think that you could change my opinion on taking a linebacker, because I think the talent is perfect there for what you want.
It seems like we've got Knoll has some pretty strong support in the chat.
Yeah, if we look at through it, Kenneth says Swinson, Johnny says Knoll, Eddie says Knoll, Paul says best wide receiver unless edge blows you away. Joe's saying so. Looks like we have 2 for Knoll, 2 for Swinson. Justin saying Restrepo, 2 for Knoll, 2 for Swinson, 1 for Restrepo. Drew saying I vote Swinson, but Knoll over Restrepo. So he's going Swinson. So that's 3 Swinson, 2 Knoll, 1 Restrepo. 3 Knoll, 3 Swinson, 1 Restrepo. Jake going Knoll over X. So it sounds like 4 Knoll, 3 Swinson, 1 Restrepo. Is that what we have right now? 2 Restrepo? 2 Restrepo? I don't know. Are we going once? Unless someone says another Swinson to tie it up. I think we're going to go Jalen Knoll here. I think. Unless anybody else wants to get their vote in. I think we have 3 Swinson, 4 Knoll, 2 Restrepo. Steven coming in saying Swinson. we're tied.
I can't be a tiebreaker because I haven't gotten around to
Swinson
yet. So
I think, listen, I'll be the tiebreaker. How about that?
You be the tiebreaker. There we go.
On this Hot Read Happy Hour, I will say the Titans have shown interest in a guy like Jalen Knoll. I have not heard the Titans have had interest in a guy like Swinson. Is that a fair tiebreaker? Go with the guy who I've heard buzz that the Titans have had touched base with.
Yes, go for it.
Okay. Johnny says, how many 5'9" receivers have actually been impact players at the end and in the NFL at wide receiver? There's a few, but when you look at what Jalen Knoll brings, right? He tied even some of he tied for the best vert jump, the best vertical long jump and high jump. His 40 time was sub 4.4, I think. I think he had a 4.39. Like, dude is an athlete, but also someone who plays bigger than his size. If you watch some of the tape, and we'll get this when we go to the top 10 receivers, right? Like, he's built in a lab to play taller than than what he actually is. And Johnny also saying like that's Restrepo. I think he just has the weight on him as well. And when you factor that in, along with the speed, Coach Will says it best: if you can get open, you'll find success in the league. And I think with the separation and the route running ability that Noel has, I think it's a guy that they definitely like. And I think when coming away from the Senior Bowl, I know that the Titans were very, very interested in a guy like Noel, which leads me to believe that he's on their radar. So, are we good with that?
I'm good with that.
Is that fair enough? Is that a fair enough pick here? Which means if we take Noel here, you start to pivot towards the defensive side of the ball. I think you've gone through 2 picks here. As Drew says, Noel is one of the better field stretchers in this class too, blazing long speed. I think he can play anywhere. Like, just because he's 5'9"-ish, he can play on the outside, and I think he'd be fine.
Well, Iowa State played him on the outside. They had no reservations about the inside-outside versatility. It's a guy that can separate.
I don't hate the Hines Ward comp either. I don't hate it.
Okay.
I think it's interesting.
It's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
This many moons ago. We can now. So we're at 80. We're at 82 here. Once again, the Chiefs pick at 66, where the Titans would be, honestly, an insane blunder. I think personally for Rand Carthon's squad.
Dang, Omar Norman Lott was available.
He was. You think he can play on the outside?
Yeah, I think so.
Steve says, tighten up. Good to see you, Stevie. Glad you are here.
Josiah Stewart, another edge option off the board.
Yep. And so they come up. Ozzy Trapilo. Thoughts?
I have seen people saying that he had a fantastic Senior Bowl, and I just didn't see it. I kind of felt like he was a little light. I kind of felt like he lost a lot of reps, was pretty invisible. I know he's, pretty vicious guy, road grader, has some good tape and that sort of thing, but I don't know. I'm lower than the consensus on Trapilo.
Drew says I'm so low on Trapilo, midday 3 guy for me.
I don't get the hype with him. I don't get the hype.
Once again, Elijah Roberts goes to the Bengals right before the Titans pick again. Isn't that funny? Jake Brady saying Elijah taken right before us, I'd fall to my knees. The Bengals do it again, taking 2 edge rushers, which at 82 leaves the Titans looking not the best at edge.
David Walker is just calling to me like the Green Goblin right now.
Kamen, I don't know how to say his name exactly, but Kamen Rucker, Quandarius Robinson, Ashton Gillette, David Walker, Baron Sorrell, Mod Hassanian.
Femi Oladejo's nice there too.
He is. I think you can personally get him in the 4th though, right?
Yeah.
Paul says you guys are in danger of being fired. Man, that edge group does not look great.
I'm smashing the David Walker button.
You're smashing. Jake Robertson says I'd entertain Harvey, Gillette, or Walker. Walker, Gillette. Femi Oladejo too. I like either David Walker or Femi. Brandon says wait on edge. Eddie says, is this a possibility of doubling up on wide receivers?
Well, Savion Jones was there too. We got 2 Savions.
True.
Wait, is Savion Williams still available?
Savion Williams is still available.
Oh, that's crazy.
Jalen Royals, Savion Williams, Tez Johnson, Isaiah Bond are still available.
I don't know.
Paul says Walker might save our jobs. Trey Harris has been drafted, I believe. He's no longer on the board. He goes to the Cowboys.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not gonna sneeze at Terrence Ferguson right there either.
I'm not either. I didn't want to say it. I did not want to say it.
Out loud.
However, Terrace Ferguson here. Drew says Savion Williams, that is. Johnny asking Horton available. Yes, Troy Horton is available here. If you don't love edge back to wide receiver, I think that's fair here as well. Coach Will says Walker at 103.
I'll tell you what, JT, I'll let you sort this out with the chat. I need another beer.
Yes.
I'm gonna vote David Walker here.
Joe says we're drafting like Ran here.
This is what the war room was like. Just, I don't know. What about this guy? What about that guy? All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get another
Eddie says these edges are gross. You gotta go earlier on one. I think that's fair. Like, listen, the Bengals, once again, it's a mock. Like, this is a simulation. If the Bengals don't go Uman Mielen right there in front of the Titans. They take Uman Mielen, and then we're talking about probably Royals here, I think. Ben says trade this pick to Cincy for Burton. Real culture guy. Could turn around the locker room. Listen, if I had to interact with Jermaine Burton once in my life, I'm calling it a career. I'm hanging it up. I think I'm hanging it up there. Coach saying let JT cook. Appreciate it. But I kind of tend to agree with some of the folks here in the chat. The edge group here is rough. Let's see. Drew says David Walker, Femi, or Savion Williams. All three are bangers. Joe saying Burton, the ideal Cheeto replacement. Gotta have some Bengals in here, right? I guess. Tez Johnson's interesting. Now, I will say, if Tez Johnson is there on day 3, and the Titans still have not taken a wide receiver, I wouldn't hate that. I will just say, like, I like Tez, but I think we're looking at Walker. I think that's where they do need to address. I think they address if they were to trade back and get a third and have, I would say, they have a pick in the third and then 2 in the fourth. 2 out of those 3, if they don't go edge at 35 or whenever their second round pick is, those 2 will be edges, I think. Timothy asking who best player available is right now on the board. We can look at that too, just to get a sense. Looking at, let's see. I think the upside of a guy like Savion Williams, the boom bust of a guy like that, is maybe best player available. Anthony Belton being available might be best player available to me. Deone Walker, I think, also is worthy of the conversation for best player available. Kevin Winston, I think you could talk about him, but to me, Stoney, I don't know if you have a opinion here, but if you're looking at guys like Ferguson, Jordan Phillips, Winston, Wyatt Milam, Savion Williams, Makuba, Belton, and Deone Walker, is there one that stands out there for you that is best player available?
I think Belton is going to be the highest on my board out of that bunch.
I think so too.
But listen, I've got to hop off. I'm sorry. I did not realize my wife has gone to bed literally right across the hall from the office, and I'm just in here yelling into a microphone. So
oh no.
I'm going to allow her to go get some sleep, but I just wanted to hop on and talk to you guys. Now I'm going to hop off and I'm going to jump in the chat with everybody. So
lovely. Love to see it.
We'll keep this party going. Cheers to everybody.
Cheers, Tony. Appreciate you having you on here.
Yep. We'll see you guys on Tuesday.
Yep. However, he's gone. So I was about to say he's gone. But I think we're gonna go. Everyone here. I think Walker is the guy. Can we agree with that? Is everyone good with that? I think that's dude showed out. His body was Paul saying he quit before being fired. I like David Walker. I had concerns about his size. However, you just look at some of his tape, the dude's arsenal and his ability to get after the quarterback, I think translates even at that Central Arkansas level of play. I like David Walker a lot, and I think even once again, the ADP or the ranking really does not matter, and I think David Walker is worthy of a pick here. Drew saying PFF having RJ Harvey this high is insanity. I also agree with that. So we go David Walker. They get an edge off the board, and so you have Cam Ward throwing to his new receiver, Jalen Knoll, in the second, and then they take David Walker for their edge room here in the third. Stoney saying, how is this for a spin cycle? David Walker's lack of length actually gives him a pretty good pad level advantage over taller tackles. Johnny says, let's find an X receiver here. It's interesting because now you've kind of taken care of all three major needs, right? You have a wide receiver, you have a edge now to create depth and develop there. And you take, of course, Cam Ward, 1 overall, and you get that extra day to pick there. And that leaves you at the beginning of day 3 on the board here with Andrew Makuba, Deone Walker, Jeffrey Bassa, I think is an interesting guy, Ashton Gillette, Kobe Bryant, Gunnar Helm, Baron Soil, Jalen Rivers. A lot of interesting guys here. Jake Robertson saying Walker built like Minecraft Steve. Hey, I think that's a funny comparison there. Drew saying having to stop that stubby ass bull rush would be a nightmare. I want no part of that. Stoney also saying some good defensive backs here on the board. Willie Lampkin season. Let's take a look because I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they double up at wide receiver, at edge, at one of these positions. So you're looking at Torrey Horton, Pat Bryant, Kobe Hudson, Kyle Williams here at wide receiver. Edge position, Robinson, Gillette, Sorrell. A lot of guys still here on the board. And then we can look as well. Jacob Parrish, a lot of good corners here as well that are still on the board, who I think are worthy. However, if I had to pick here, the first pick, you just took someone who is going to use their physicality and just be able to use their pass set move a little bit better to start their career. How about you double up on edge and we look at a guy like Olu Oladejo, or Femi Oladejo, I should say. Like, as Stoney says, I might double up on edge here and take Oladejo. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. He's raw, right? He still has to develop a lot. And if you double up on edge, you've kind of built out that edge room here. And then with so many good corners on the board still, some decent pieces to kind of supplement your depth here, along with wide receiver, I think there's very much a possibility that even Horton is available at 120. However, I would have been okay with saying that Femi is the pick at, 82? Like, I like him. He's got a lot of growing to do, I think, still. Like, this is a guy who just transitioned to the edge position, still needs to work on his pass rushing abilities and his technique and his moveset. However, I do think that there's a lot to like from a physicality standpoint. Eddie saying, I wish we had like 2 or 3 more picks. Feels like we need 3 guys here. Fair. Jason said, if I'm doubling at edge, I definitely go Gillette. So it looks like people are on board with the doubling up at the edge position here. And I think it's between Ashton, Gillette, and Femi Oladejo. Sounds like we have Drew and Stoney on the Oladejo train here. We have, who said Gillette? Joe in the chat saying Gillette. We have Jason saying Gillette, so it's 2-2 there. Coach Wills, should we do it? Should we just trade? Should we trade Will Levis here? Let's see who we can find a trade partner for shits and giggles. Where are the Rams? Where are the Rams? Well, let's look. Browns, Giants, Patriots, Jaguars, Raiders. Raiders? Maybe? Saints? Get an 8th round pick for him. Nice. Jags, send him to the Jags. Cowboys? Interesting. Cowboys are... Cowboys are at 149 when their next pick is. But I think to getting, he does have Jerry's World all written all over him. But if you look at the Raiders, Ben, who is a Cowboys fan, saying Cowboys lost Rush. Levis may make sense for them. 49ers lost a backup 2. They bring in Mac Jones, which I thought the Titans should have, for maximum chaos. I think it's down to the Raiders and to the Cowboys, which I think when you're looking at it, the Cowboys, man, just, taking out 149. Hey, actually, that's fair. Jags might want Levis, former offensive coordinator. Let's see what we can get here. If we do 108 and Will Levis for 141, does that work? Ship him off to somewhere where he doesn't have any connections. True. Trade in division happens now. I think that's one. We can also look at Duval. 107 for 141 and Will Levis. We're having fun here. Should we just do it? Should we trade him to the Jacksonville Jaguars? He reunites with Cohen. Kyler Chatter out there as well. It's fair. Let's see. Joe says, do it. I guess it doesn't really, yeah. Kenny Pickett just fetched a 5th. Feels like we're underselling the value of a 3rd-year high upside quarterback. Same way Kenny Pickett fetched a pick last year. Same way as Sam Howell fetched a pick. Same way as Desmond Ridder fetched Rondale Moore, even though he was hurt. Like I think it's fair, and this makes hashtag team content fun. So we're gonna send him to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and so they also now have 107. So now we're free to basically take, two players now. I'll take some trash cans and a couple of beers. At this pick, we're going to take him with one of these because I think the value there is worth it. I think Femi Oladejo is worth it here at 103. We can look at wide receiver and maybe a a secondary guy. Jameson Wang. Now we're free to take Willie Lampkin. That's true. Once you take the trash can and you have a few of those beers, you're taking Willie Lampkin at this point. I want to take Andrew Makuba here so bad. The problem is, I don't think he's going to be available on day 3. Deion Walker is also just sitting here, man. Like, Deion Walker sitting here, Parrish sitting here. I like Horton as well. Noel Williams also here. Like, I think we're able to get Torrey Horton at 120. So I think this is a luxury pick that you've now sold off a guy like Will Levis. You're free to take a corner or a safety. Dylan Gabriel, as Tony says here in the chat. I do like a good press, a handsy press corner, and the Titans do as well. Is Makuba I'm willing to offer up that Makuba is the pick here. Drew says Deion Walker just had a major back injury revealed. No go for him. And that was a guy, though, that we're talking about maybe going early day 2 way back at the Senior Bowl. Is there a coverage linebacker here available? Not really. Like Jack Kaiser, because of what that Notre Dame system is, I think is an interesting guy to look at. Jake Robinson says, Deion Walker loves to play football like the Charmin Bears. Got the size and tenacity, but softer than a baby's bottom. Yeah, not too many coverage linebackers here, because I think they would rather at this point take a guy take the upside of a guy like Cedric Gray than bring in more competition at this point, when Cedric Gray is probably in line to maybe challenge Otis Reese for the other linebacker spot. I think it's down to Makuba. It's down to Parrish, I believe. And Torrey Horton as well. Devin Neal is available. The thumper running back that they want. It's tempting. It's tempting. Are we good with Makuba here? If he's available, it's a steal. As Kenneth says, Andrew Makuba, need young blood at safety. Coach says, Makuba, send it in. Joe says, I'm good with that. Makuba is a steal. It's the end of Hooker. Next year, he is due for another contract. We've seen how this team likes former Titans, part of the Vrabel and Rand Carthon era. So I'm not sure anybody who's doing a new deal is safe, I guess. I think we take Andrew Makuba. We take advantage of the mock draft simulator here. Take him. That creates a really nice secondary group. And that leaves you available to take a wide receiver at 120. It allows you to take a corner if they fall here. It allows you to take a running back. There's a lot of options, I think. Cheeto release. We can talk. I can talk about this. The Cheeto release. I'm not surprised by it, if I'm being honest. Like, he's going to be 30 next year. He's almost going to be 30 and a half by the beginning of next season. He only played 8 games, and when you're following what the Titans are looking for in free agency this season, it's guys who play more than 8 games. And, you know, I think he was a nice guy to set the culture of what Brian Callahan needed and wanted in his first year, but I think you are getting better play. Now, here's the thing. If Snead is hurt again, you're not looking great. Like, this is all dependent on Snead coming back super healthy, and I think the release of a guy like Cheeto is confidence in this organization that L'Jarius Snead is going to come back healthy. Joe saying no value. I don't know if anybody would have. Really. Once again, like, obviously, if they're releasing him like that tells you what the league thinks of a guy who's about to be 30 and a half and only played 8 games at cornerback last year. Jake, I'm with you. I like Quincy Riley here, or at least on day 3. I think you can go wide receiver here. I think it's good to double up. I think the big debate, though, is Torrey Horton or Pat Bryant. Like both guys' skill sets. It's true. Kenneth does bring up a good point. Borgonzi does not like players made of glass. And if he did not have a pretty healthy season in 2024, it may go against what they want to do. Kyle Williams on the board as well. Guy I like as well. Stoney saying he sees Kyle Williams there. Bryant Williams are the 2. Stoney saying I'm out on Pat Bryant. Y'all have fun with that one. The thing about Pat Bryant is, I mean, you look at his contested catch numbers. 69. Nice. See who else we have here. Jalen Rivers still on the board. Noel Williams on the board. Willie Lampkin on the board. Jack Kaiser on the board. Damian Martinez on the board. Paul, I love you. I don't know if you can say that we should take Milrow here and also call for my job as fake GM. Jaden Blue looking sneaky right here. Johnny says Gonzi likes his speed. It's interesting. Could go running back here as well. We look at the picks we have. We've taken Cam Ward, wide receiver, 2 edge rushers in David Walker and Femi Oladejo and Andrew Makuba. I think you can afford to take a luxury pick here. That Kyle Williams has played with Cam. Coach Will says we need a skill guy. Drew says Kyle Williams, Jalen Rivers, Noel Williams. All right, let's look at the wide receivers. Let's take a vote here. Kyle Williams, Torrey Horton, or Pat Bryant. Who's the one? If we're taking a wide receiver. Williams, 2 votes for Horton, Steven says he's heard good things about Kyle Horton. Sounds like we're in on the wide receiver here, right? Regardless. Wide receiver here at this pick. I do think that the Kyle Williams connection with Cam gives you a discount on what you had with Xavier Restrepo. Right? It's 3 for Kyle Williams, 2 for Horton, 3 for Horton, I guess, with Johnny. Drew says if you take Noel Williams and pair him with JBJ and Snead, no receiver is getting off the line of scrimmage without a broken collarbone. It's true. We do have to clarify. We're talking about Kyle Williams here, not Noel Williams. Both are really good players. Who played the most snaps at wide receiver? It's a good question. Between Torrey Horton and Kyle Williams, it's Kyle Williams maybe 3 times over. Played 13 games with 470 pass snaps to Horton's 102. Only played 5 games and was hurt. But there is something to be said that when he was playing against better competition, struggled against guys like Travis Hunter, against Colorado, but against Texas, against Oklahoma State, against San Diego State, San Jose, I should say, played well. It's Kyle Williams an X. Another guy who I think has versatility and could play a lot of different spots. We can look up his mock draftable too. We can look at mock draftables as well. Not that wrong Kyle Williams. Most mock draftable doesn't have their guys yet. We are forgetting Bryce Oliver. Johnny says Noel is 5'10", Williams is 5'11". Give me Horton at 6'3", with same 40 as Williams. Totally got the signing of Van Jefferson too. I think, another great argument, right? Can only have so many wide receivers. You still have Jaquan Jackson on the roster. You still have Colton Dow on the roster. You still have Morgan Stanley on the roster. Is that his name? Stanley Morgan, I think. Titans legend Stanley Morgan Jr. Van Jefferson, Burks, Treylon Burks. Should we try to flip Treylon Burks? All right, for the sake of it, let's go wide receiver, and it's between Horton and Williams. Thornton showing up in the periphery. The what you have going for him is Kyle Williams, connection with Cam, versatility all across the line of scrimmage. Been healthy for his entire career, undersized. Thornton, coming off an injury this year, 6'3". Has still the speed as well. Scrubbergs. I think as much as Horton is a good player, you look at who they have in that room. Bryce Oliver, Van Jefferson, two guys who are bigger body guys who are going to stretch the field for them in the NWI role. I think they're looking for that guy to take over what Calvin Ridley can be. And for that, I think you go Kyle Williams here. So they go Kyle Williams. Brady saying Horton would have gone a lot higher. And then that leaves with 2 picks, 178, 188 on the board here. And now with 2 edges, I'm not doing it. I see the first player and I'm not doing it, Stoney. I'm sorry, man. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Can't do it. However, you have the potential to now take a guy at a lesser position. Let's look at some of the tackles still on the board. Miles Frazier, Jackson Slater, Clay Webb is available. We do not, Marcus Yarns is available. Quinn Ewers is available. Let's get some of the corners available. Not a lot. That makes me... Dan Jackson. Everybody loves themselves some Dan Jackson. Let's look at some of the wide receivers, running backs available. I don't hate Marcus Yarns here. I think this is also fair. I think he fits exactly what they want as well. I think the plan is, I think you take an offensive guard. At the with the last pick, and here Ollie Gordon is available. LaQuint Allen is available. 2 guys I like as well. I know, Stoney. It's so deep that I look at guys like Ollie Gordon and LaQuint Allen. I say, man. LaQuint Allen is here. Yes, LaQuint Allen is here. Ollie Gordon is here. We've got guys. I think we take a running back here. I think this is where you take a running back. Let's see if we can get a consensus on a running back. Looks like Gordo. Ollie Gordon at next pick. Brady saying Gordon. It's 3 for Gordon. 4 for Gordon. Are we taking Gordon here? Are we taking a guard here and then Gordon next? Or are we taking Gordon here and then a interior offensive lineman afterwards? That's the real question. Saying O-line first. Running back is deep. All right, so we look at some of the... Got Monheim, Majors, Frazier, Slater, Clay Webb. Love me some Clay Webb here. I love a lot of these guys here as well. Middle linebacker too. I think they find a few guys in UDFAs to bring in at middle linebacker. Especially considering who you have on the board here with the offensive lineman. I'm between. I like Frazier. I like Webb. We talked into Slater. Sounds like Stoney's good with any of them. We got one vote for Jackson Slater out of Sacramento State. Vote for Marcus Ware. Miles Frazier in the 6th. Sprint that up. Frazier Webb. Sounds like we're good with any of these guys. This is also true. They did kick Frazier out to right tackle at the Senior Bowl. Might be an option there. Trade back. Guess we could. Yeah, JC back to left tackle. I like Miles Frazier. We can do one sweep through. Jalen Lane also just sitting around. Dante Thornton sitting around. Max Brosmer sitting around. I think you can get him maybe as a UDFA. Although I think he's draftable. But with the way this quarterback class is, I think you're going to get him moving down. All right, we're spinning a wheel. We're gonna wheel of names this at this point. Clay Webb, Jackson Slater, Miles Frazier. Okay. Here we go. Well, looks like we're taking Clay Webb. The wheel is spoken. The wheel is spoken, Stoney. We're taking Clay Webb. Joe says now you're really drafting like Rand. And that leaves you at 188. I rigged it. I did not. You saw the wheel. You saw the wheel. Let's see. And we have our running back still on the board here. I think it's Ollie Gordon, right? Is that who we're going with? How about a tight? We can look at some tight ends. Yeah, it did. Kenneth Murray moved the Titans up 56 picks is something. I won't lie. Stoney says never mind to those. 6'2", 225. I mean, both these guys are going to be the size you want. Quinn Allen, a little smaller. Upton Stout off the board. They are bringing him in. Yes, he is off the board. Where'd he go? Isaac Tesla went to the Eagles. Of course he did. Because of course. Because of course. Yeah, it looks like he went earlier. Sounds like the chat is wanting Ollie Gordon, so we can finish it off with Ollie Gordon, which then finishes the Titans mock draft. And once this finishes, we can look at what PFF thinks of our mock draft. Bottom 17% of mock drafts, according to PFF. But there you have it. We have Cam Ward trading back to get Jalen Knoll, David Walker, Femi Oladejo, trading Will Levis in a 5th to move up in the 4th to take Andrew Makuba, Kyle Williams, Clay Webb, and Ollie Gordon. I mean, I'm feeling good about it. PFF be damned. I'm feeling good about it. C for a best. Clay Webb getting the F, man. It's tough. It is tough out here. But, you know, here we can switch up the scene as well. What if we put myself... Now I'm drafting like Rand, like Joe said. Now we're in here. So... I like it. I do as well. I think the Will Levis one is a little bit out of quick wave at the camera. Yeah. This is me when we take David Walker in the 3rd. Here, hold on. When I take David Walker in the 3rd. See what else? I had one more, I think, right? Oh yeah. This is me when I take Clay Webb in the 7th or in the 6th. Well, that was fun. Hope you guys appreciated that. We can look at our mock one more time. In case you've been just wandering around and wanted to come back here. So here, I mean, PFF says we should have taken Restrepo, but Amy with the face. Yeah, I agree. That face is priceless. Me when I trade a 4th for Jonathan Mingo. We have Cam Ward. We traded back to get Knoll, Walker, Femi Oladejo. Traded Will Levis to Duval. Take Makuba, Kyle Williams. Trey Harris would have set it off. I agree. But that's why we're gonna keep doing this. Next week, these players outside of probably Cam Ward, maybe Cam Ward is off the board. These players are off the board. We're going a different way next week. Just giving you guys a look at getting familiar with some players, as well as, you know, just having some fun here. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for tonight. Appreciate you all hanging out with us. I know we're going Mason Graham at 1 overall next week. I agree. Appreciate you guys being here as always. We'll be back next week as well doing this. I had fun. If you guys had fun, let me know in the comment section, because I thought this was a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll get to do it more, and maybe bring on some other people to hang out with us as well. Thank you, Stony, for popping in when you could, even though it was bedtime as well. I appreciate you guys being here this time on a Sunday night. But yeah, appreciate you guys. And then Hot Read Podcast next week. Sponsors right there. Oh, wrong way. Shit. Right there. Go check those guys out. ML Rose, Sinkers Beverages, as always. Drew says always a great time to talk draft ball. We'll be doing so much more of it. We're getting into the nitty gritty of it, and can't wait for you guys to be with us along the way. So until then, we'll talk to you later.